Are you looking to return to your sport or physical activity after an injury, but are just unsure on how you can do so safely? Hi, I'm Dr. Gage Winkles. I'm a sports chiropractor here at HealthFit Chiropractic right here in Boca Raton, Florida. And today we're going to go over a brief video on how we help our athletes and our patients return to their sport or physical activity after an injury so they don't get re-injured. We have a big rule we like to use here in the office, and we call it the 10% rule. What that means is if we have taken a break from a sport or physical activity for a specific period of time there, as we ease back into that sport or activity, we do so in a 10% increment. So for an easy example here, if you usually run 1 mile, we will start with just about a tenth of a mile there at a run, and then we can do some walking after. If that goes fine, pain-free, no residual pains or aches the next day, then we can talk about on that next training session, we would increase that by 10%. When you're returning to sport, returning to practice in a limited capacity, and then easing into more and more drills, more and more activities at practice, and then eventually being game ready is how we help our athletes in the community here go back and return to sport without ending up in this chronic injury cycle. So again, our big rule here is the 10% rule. It's an easy rule to remember. Just each time you are returning to that sport or physical activity, increase that level by about 10% until we've returned to full go there at 100%. And at that point, you should be all good to go and not have any concerns about re-injury. Now, re-injury does happen occasionally, typically when we avoid the 10% rule and we jump back into things too quickly. And so we want to avoid what we call the chronic injury cycle here. And what that is that right knee pain has been bothering you on a run. You come in, maybe we do some shock waves, some active release technique, you start feeling better. We start to ease back into that run. Maybe we're at about 50% on our 10% rule, and you feel great and you just go for it all one day. And then we end up back at square one there, where you are in this chronic injury cycle where now the knee pain has flared back up and we have to retreat and then re-implement you back into physical exercise there. So these go hand in hand here. They're very important. 10% rule helps us avoid that chronic injury cycle. And when you are in that chronic injury cycle, there are a lot of tools that we have in the office here and recommendations that we can give you to avoid repeating that cycle there. And one of those will be, when we return to sport and activity, the 10% rule. If you guys have any questions about these topics here, feel free to reach out. Take care.